Hi everyone, Dr. Colleen here. This video is going to be all about lower body stretches. I might be out of camera for some of them, but the important parts that you need to see should stay in camera. So we'll go ahead and see. If not, I'll be re-recording this. All right, we are going to start with the butterfly stretch. So I am in the seated position. Butterfly stretch is bringing the soles of the feet together and bringing the knees down. Okay, so if that doesn't feel good, you could even be a little bit further out into this position, or again, you can omit. You don't have to do all of these if they don't feel good. Okay, so my soles of my feet are together. I like to hold on to my toes at first, just kind of letting gravity begin the stretch on the left and right side. Kind of see, what side is feeling really tight today before I start adding in any of the cues. So noticing a little bit more tightness on my right side. So from there, I'm going to let go of my toes, come up onto my shins, and I'm going to sit up nice and tall. And again, that might change the stretch enough for you, and that's where you're going to stay. Again, stretches are always 6 to 8 breaths or a minute minimum, and then if you want, you can stay longer, as long as you're not doing any cranking on the joints, any forcing or pushing, just letting gravity relax into it. And if it's starting to send signals to your brain, it's kind of the journey is figuring out, is this a safe signal, like we're just not used to doing this, but let's do it, or well, we need to stop. So that is part of this journey as you learn to listen and communicate back and forth with your body. So toes, shins, and then I'm sitting up nice and tall, pulling up through the spine. And now I am going to come a little bit forward. So I'm just trying to keep my back as straight as possible and then bending forward. And that causes me to give a little bit of pressure into my elbows into my knees. But I don't necessarily need to go into this position. That still actually does continue the stretch. But you can stay up nice and tall if that doesn't feel good to round your body forward. So again, just holding that for 6 to 8 breaths. Okay, and then coming back to center. The next one we're going to do is figure 4. And we've done this in another video, but I'm going to break it down. So we're going to roll down onto our backs. My feet are about 6 inches away. Go this way. Might be able to see. Oh, it feels a bit better on the camera. So, bringing the ankle just behind the knee. I like the bony part to be past my top of my knee there, so it's not digging into my knee. And we're in what looks like the number 4 here. So this would be step 1, relax the shoulders. Okay, step 1 would be foot just flat on the floor. Step 2, you could just come up onto your toe. Step 3 would just be beginning to lift up. And so I'm stretching the left side here. Step 4 would be bringing your hands through, and I'm getting my elbow ready for step 5, which would be putting a little pressure into this left crease by the knee to get a bit deeper stretch. Now, nothing changed or moved up here. If you're straining and pulling up here, need to do a couple stretches to get that nice and loose, but if you need to, you can have a pillow or a blanket to support that head, because all of the stretch should be happening, this static stretch for our glutes and our outer thigh, and sometimes our inner thigh. And I guess the next things you could do is begin to lift this leg up if you need to go even deeper into the stretch. Okay, and then we always come out of that nice and slow, belly is engaged, and then we switch over to the other side. Step 1, 3, 4, elbow, This is my tighter side, so try to relax that shoulder. Give a good push. And then up and release. Okay, so we're going to stay down here in this position, and we're going to move down to knee down twist. Okay, so you can start with both legs long. This is a nice one to do after the Pilates, the roll up that we did before. And what we're going to do is just begin to bring one knee into the chest. So this leg is long, my knees pointed up, my toes pointed up, it's not flopping around side to side. And we can give this knee a nice hug in towards the chest. You can even hug it out towards the armpit or in, whatever feels good. Now that you're in this position and committed to do a knee down twist. So from here, you're going to drop your left hand. So this is my left leg and my right hand. And I'm going to anchor it down just a little bit and come down with the knee down twist. And you might get some releases in your spine. Don't be alarmed unless there's major discomfort afterwards for quite a while. All right. This arm could go up into goal post position or out. I tend to like to go up and away, trying to get more of a lat stretch through my armpit because I tend to use these muscles a lot at work. Okay, I don't know if we'll have room on the other side, but let's see. So you come back, center, knee in, come across, arm goes up. So as you can see, change of range of motion, my left shoulder to right shoulder for sure. And then come back to center. Okay, ways to increase this stretch if you want to, so that's just kind of the basic, though it always feels great, would be to take, so this is my right ankle on the side of my left knee, and I'm coming down into this twist position. And then again, you really have to engage your core to come out of that position and not just get stuck on the floor, all twisted out. So this is a little less in the back and a little more concentrated just on the hip and the glutes, which is also in the knee down twist, but I do find there's less of the back stretch in that one. Okay, so now we're going to come up and turn this way, and we're going to come into a hip flexor stretch. So I'm going to show it to you on the left side, and we come out into this position first. I like having a bench. Oh, can't see my head. So, but you can see the body, and that's all that matters, because it can feel a little balancy, and plus I'm going to be looking at the camera. So right away, I'm going to walk my foot forward. My foot is not in line with my knee. It is staggered over about hip width apart. And then I'm going to walk it forward. Okay, make sure for sure, depending on the flooring you have, that you do have something to cushion this knee. It just makes it feel that much better. So even if you have to double up your yoga mat. Okay, so the number one trick to make sure you add is our posterior pelvic tilt. So there's a video all on that, what it's like to be in anterior position, and then posterior, and then of course there's neutral in between the two. But we want to really engage that posterior pelvic tilt because it stretches our psoas muscle so that we can feel the stretch when we lean into this pose. So we're going to lean. I'm just trying to find that sweet spot. Okay, so I wanted to get my knee over my ankle. So I let go of the bench and I'm balancing, and the stretch is happening all here. Now if I lose that tilt, I don't feel that stretch. So you got to keep tucking it in. And also the other thing the hips kind of want to do when they're out of balance is turn open away from this knee. You want to turn so you are facing the knee, tucked, and then lean. And if you have that tight psoas or upper quad, you will feel that. Okay? You can also take the arm on this side, which you can't see, but it is reaching up to the ceiling and slightly away from it, because that psoas comes up and through and actually connects to a lumbar vertebrae in the back. Okay, and then come back, we'll switch sides. All right, so my foot's slightly forward. I'm gonna engage that tilt. Lean forward until my knee is over. If your knee is too far, just bring that foot back, because we don't need to be over stretching. Make sure you're square, shoulders are relaxed. Inhale, exhales, always for all of these, 6 to 8 breaths, minimum minute. And if you want to go longer, just make sure you're listening to the signals. I'm going to reach that arm up and over to the side. I don't have tight psoas, hip flexors, so I really have to extend that arm and kind of lean away to really get a nice stretch in that muscle group. Okay, so next one we're going to do is the quad. So you're definitely gonna not see me. And I'm gonna bring it up just a little bit. Okay, that's good. You get to see Miss Pixie. She's fast. Oh, no, she's up high. Oh, see, she's good at stretching too. Okay, so we're gonna go into the quad. I'm gonna come, maybe this one will be the best view. Okay, so my feet are anchored on the ground, about shoulder width apart, touching all of the foot on the mat. So again, when we're in wall posture, kind of habit for me now to just pop into my knees as soon as possible. So we do want to watch if we're knee lockers and start coming into that athletic stance. Okay, from here again, if you need it for balance, there needs to be something, or you're next to a wall, and we're going to slowly begin to bring our foot into our hand. Now I also have people bring in a chair and get the foot onto the chair and then lean down and pick it up is another option. So whatever feels right for you, or just ask in the office for a modification if this isn't working for your balance, or for sometimes if we have a knee replacement, we've lost range of motion, so we will figure it out. Okay, so just your basic standing quad stretch. So here, again, not locking that back knee. We have a nice soft bend in there, even weight on my foot, and this is where the balance challenge begins. So the ankle, depending on injuries, depending on how conditioned you are, will be really wobbly. So that's why you want the wall, or just slightly wobbly if you move your eyes around the room, okay? So you can see my knee's not forward and I'm not yanking it back. My knee is in line with the other knee. Now here comes the trick. Just like the hip flexor, we're going to do that posterior pelvic tilt. So again, review that video if you need to. And at the same time, I'm going to push my foot into the palm of my hand without, of course, flicking it off, but just give that little extra resistance. Okay, so soft knee, tilt, and push. And that will light up that whole front of the quad a little bit more into this area. Now, if you're not feeling that, of course, ask me. It's not in this handout, but I can show you some more advanced stretches if needed. Okay, soft knee, knees are side by side, my shoulders are square, everything's square to my hips. Tilt, tuck, and push. And enjoy that stretch in the front. Again, sometimes just even putting it up on a chair for some is enough, or a stool. So we can start off stool, chair, and then coming into the full standing balance quad stretch. Okay, moving into stuff that's a little bit more advanced, as long as both the upper body and the lower body feel good. We're going to come onto all fours. This is going to stretch the whole back side of the body as well as the upper body. And it's one that Pixie's really good at doing. It's usually referred to as down dog. Oh, you're being so cute. Okay, so we start on all fours. Fingers are spread nice and wide. I'm on my toes. We're going to come up, okay? Beginning to walk out at first. This will also begin to warm up the calves for a nice stretch in this. Okay, it could be a wider, coming to the edge, or stay in line. So once you feel like you have some good mobility in the lower body, keep those fingers spread. I'm going to begin to drop my chest down, bringing my ears in line with my elbows. And I'm really thinking about drawing that tailbone up to the ceiling as I soften my chest towards my thighs. Okay, I like to keep a slight bend in my knees, and I don't tend to lock them out completely. Same with my elbows. There is a slight bend, even though they're activated, but they're not so locked that I am not using the proprioceptors of that joint. Okay, so inhale, exhale. Now, at the beginning, if you've never done this, it can feel a little lightheaded because your head's down, so just don't stay in it very long. Come up into it. Focus on your breath as you work through all the different movements, components, I should say, of that particular stretch, because there's a lot going on in it, even though it just looks like I'm in a little triangle position. So fingers spread wide, toes lifted. I start by first lifting the knees, anchoring back, working out the calves, coming to that position that feels good, beginning to soften the chest down, spread the fingers, and lifting the tailbone up towards the ceiling as I soften the chest towards the thighs. And then to come out of that, I transfer the weight forward, drop my knees, and then come out of the position. Okay, so you can stretch out your wrists if you need to. I don't know that I've ever done a down dog with my fists before, but I guess that's an option. The other option would be to do it on your elbows. So this will require that your head will be lower, much lower than your heart in this position. So this could make you feel a little more lightheaded, but if you need a go-to, that is an option, to be on your elbows and then lift and come into that position. I like that one a lot on my wrist, but it really does take some time. I'm probably flushed right now in getting that blood flow. So, but if you do it more often, it's not as dramatic. Okay, so one final stretch for this one is going to be, I didn't include the calf stretch because I don't have a chair or a wall to do the stretch off of. So actually we'll do another stretch after this. I'm gonna add in just the regular calf stretch. Okay, so this is more advanced pose. I don't particularly do this one, as you see, as I awkwardly get into it, because the butterfly and the figure 4 is enough for me. So So it's intended for this foot to be on here and then this knee to be down here. Now I tend to do it, make sure you can see, if I do this one, I do one foot in front of the other and then switch the other foot in front of the other, okay? But if you can get them up there and that feels good, this is the fire log pose, and it really goes deep into those hip flexors. So you can see this knee is lifted, and you'll see when I switch the other side. So left shoulder, right hip, so we know our bodies. Okay, and then you can lean forward. So I'm kind of pushing out with my elbows, but still long through my chest. I'm not collapsing down. And then doing those 6 to 8 breaths. So let's try this side. Yeah, see, it's all the way down. So again, you just know your body and you keep taking care of it. Where it started or why it continues, I don't bother myself with those worries or questions anymore. I just work with day to day with how my body's showing up. Okay, all right. So deeper hip flex openers there. Okay, so again, my head is gonna be gone and we're gonna go into your basic calf stretch. So I'm gonna come on the side. So again, it's a lot like the hip flexor, but now I'm in the standing position. Okay, so I'm coming into a wide staggered stance. So my feet aren't in line with each other because I will fall. And from here, the foot is slightly in front. I'm gonna come back a bit so you can see, since I moved the camera before. My heel is right there, it's solid into the floor. So the only way I'm really gonna get the stretch now is by leaning forward into this side. So I'm gonna also square my hips because I'm looking at the camera. But you want square hips. Don't worry so much about the tilt unless you have an extreme anterior tilt and you don't want to strain that back. But keep working that foot forward until you're leaning and you're feeling that stretch all back into here. Okay, so my leg is straight. I don't have a bend in it. If you notice there's a bend, bring the foot back and don't be going as deep. Our goal is to get that foot down to the floor. Okay, and then the same thing on this side. Bring it back. And so yeah, this calf is a little bit tighter, my right side, than my left was. I could go much deeper. So just do your best to keep them as even as possible, but putting a little bit of extra effort. Maybe doing a right, if you have a tighter right hip, doing the right hip opener 2 times instead of just 1 time and just 1 time on the left side. But don't do one side and don't do the other. Always do both, but you can add. Oh, hello, see? That was a great stretch. Very nice. Very nice, yeah. Oh, hello. So that was our lower body stretch series that will match the handout, except for this one, which I do show you both this one in the office and then the one against the wall or a chair, because like I said, I don't really have tight calves, so I like to go against the wall and then do the hip into the wall, because then I really feel that stretch. Okay, I'll bring the head back into view so you know who's talking. And yeah, take your time with each of them. You don't have to do all of them. There's a chance I would have put stars next to the ones for you to do and crosses out of the ones not to do, or I might have said try these later, or we'll discuss this later. So just do what feels comfortable, and if any of them hurt at any time, make sure you stop, and then we'll talk about it. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. All right, bye. Oh, hello.